Hey everyone, hey everyone. It is kind of late today. It's about 9:28 where I'm at. I know some of you all are all across the world. Some of you are on the East Coast, 3 hours ahead, Central Time, an hour ahead, and such. And so, however, I kind of want to go on a rant tonight, and I feel like that's what I want to do tonight. So I actually just got back home from filming and I was in Seattle. I was at the Mariners Stadium, and so I was able to go on the field and stuff and run the bases and everything, which was pretty cool. Took some pictures and stuff. I'll probably post them, but it was cool. The way I was looking at it was like, hey, I'm doing what the greats have done, and so I want to continue to have that mindset, doing what the greats have done. And so, but yeah, we're going to go ahead and drop this intro. Today, we're going to talk about broke governments who are struggling to pay the bills. So let me go ahead and drop this intro. We'll be right back.
Think. Act. And prosper. You are now tuned into the Money Level Show.
All right. We back. Appreciate you, JT. Always showing love. I always love the super chats. So if you can drop a super chat, be sure to do so. Y'all be sure to go subscribe to my membership. I'm waiting on someone to break the ice. I'm at 20, close to 2,600 subscribers now. Been releasing interviews with Jim Rogers and everyone. Tomorrow I'm actually releasing an interview with Alasdair McLeod. And I'm actually interviewing Mark Yusko to talk about the crypto markets and just kind of what's happening there. But be sure to join the membership, $6.99 a month, a cup of coffee a month. You can support the channel and I can continue to create this stuff because it's something that I really want to take serious and something that, I really want to provide value to you all. So become a member, somebody break the ice, please. Right. I'm just waiting on that first person just so I can be like, like it would just be so exciting. Right. And so, but be sure to become a member, and everything. I know times are hard for some folks, but support. That's what it's all about. Also, in the description, you should see a link for the New Orleans Investment Conference. I've been talking about this in my videos. However, that is from November 1st, I believe, to the 4th. I will likely be there. After going to the Rural Symposium, I felt like I need to be in these spaces with the people that I watch a lot and the people that I interview a lot. And so I'm likely going there. I'm interviewing Brian Lundeen, who is the owner of that conference. This conference used to be put on by Jim Blanchard, and Jim Blanchard, I believe, he passed away in the late 90s or something, but he brought on people like Milton Friedman, Margaret Thatcher, who was the former prime minister of the UK. She was a conservative. He brought out Gerald Ford and I think Alan Greenspan after he was the Federal Reserve chair. So some heavy hitters have been at this conference. This year, it's going to be Peter Schiff, Jim Rickards, Rick Rule. I believe Lynn Alden is speaking there, as well as George Gammon, Danielle DiMartino Booth. And so be sure to click that link and you can view it from either live or you can come to the actual event. But I'll tell you right now, coming to the actual event, you'll make so many connections and friendships. It's way different than the live. So I just want to share that. So we're going to go ahead and get into this broke governments who are struggling to pay the bills. I don't know about you all. I grew up in poverty. I'm from the east side of Oklahoma City. Grew up, single mom, 5 kids. None of our dads really paid child support. And it was hard on my moms. I grew up around a lot of other kids who had single mothers as well. And our mothers struggled to pay the bills. Like they had to work countless amount of hours. My siblings had to help, watch us. And me and my sister, we were younger and everything. And so This was like, really a real struggle, for my mother, and many other people that I've known, just growing up in poverty. And so, struggling to pay the bills is real, right? And so right now, what we have is government is struggling to pay the bills. Now, I say that because we really are, but then you also got, um, you know, uh, government willing, they're struggling to pay the bills, but you have politicians within government that is just spending money recklessly, right? Getting paid six figures a year, over six figures a year, or whatever, right? And and they're just spending the money recklessly, right? We saw the M2 money supply just shoot up very high during the pandemic, and it was just very just fiscally irresponsible. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the numbers right now. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, y'all. Actually, let me choose the right mode. There we go. I'm actually learning this stuff, y'all. So we're gonna go ahead and share screen. Our first one we're gonna look at is we're going to look at the total debt, right? Here we are, we're on the stlouisfed.org. And this shows the public debt, right? So, I mean, as you can see, in 1991, we had less than 4 trillion in debt. I mean, you can see it right here, 306. This was Q3 1991. I mean, you get to the 2000s right here, we had a recession, but we were at about, 5 trillion, almost 6 trillion. This was around the time 9/11 happened. Much money was sent overseas, and we spent a lot of money, fighting that battle and or that war. And pretty much, I mean, you begin to see the debt just start ballooning. I mean, then you get to the global financial crisis of 2008. We get to 10 trillion, 11 trillion. The Fed starts trying to bail us out. They start quantitative easing. This is quantitative easing, for those that don't know, is when the Fed buys government or corporate bonds or debt to finance fiscal spending or corporate spending, right? And so they continue to buy that debt so that companies and government could spend. And you begin to see like just the debt just continue to rise. I mean, even in 2018, we're at 22 trillion. The pandemic starts, we shoot up, and now we're at 32 trillion. All right, 32 trillion. How does I can't even fathom that number. Many of the people that I talk to now, they talk about just us, the word trillions is just like something that they've never even considered, right? So now we're at the trillions. All right, so let's go over and look at the actual budget deficit. So this is what we're going to look at next. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go over here. We're going to go to the budget deficit. All right, and we're on the actual sites for the government. So don't think that I'm just feeding y'all whatever. Like, I try to check my sources and everything and make sure they're credible, right? So this is the national deficit. As you can see, fiscaldata.treasury.gov. When you got that .gov in front of it, that means that you are on a government website, right? So let's see, understanding the national deficit. So this highlighted right here. In fiscal year 2022, the federal government spent 6.27 trillion and collected 4.9 trillion in revenue, right? So this is a trillion and what? 3 trillion and what? 370 billion or something like that. Almost a trillion and a half in the whole. So we collected 4.9 trillion, we spent 6.27 trillion, resulting in a deficit. Now, what is a deficit? It's clearly right here. A deficit occurs when government spends more money than it collects. The federal government has run deficits for the last 20 years. So the government is struggling to pay the bills. Like the single moms in the hood, the government is struggling to pay the bills. And some people are benefiting from this, right? Some people just get what they can get, and they, screw us. Screw us. Screw the average person. You know, they got to fend for themselves. We're gonna get what we can get out of the deal, and we're gonna, you know, take care of our needs and our families first. But everyone else, screw them. That's pretty much what it is. You know, that's pretty much what it is. I mean, and you know, if you want to argue, you know, if someone wants to argue Nancy Pelosi's, you know, her side or whatever, her, you know, insider trading or whoever, you know, whoever benefited from freaking Ukraine. Well, I think the Bidens benefited from that, and other people throughout, you know, so like people are in it for themselves. So that's why on this channel we have to create a community of people, even if we don't agree, you know, fully on political things or social things or whatever. We have to understand that these people don't have our best interests in mind. You know, when I was at the Rural Symposium, it was pretty it's pretty interesting. I met this dude named Captain. We call him Captain. He actually was a captain of ships for a while. Um, and he's a heck of cool dude. He believes in some wild stuff, you know, but he's heck of cool, you know what I'm saying? And I don't disagree with everything that he believes in. But you know, he said something key. He was like, you know, we all need to stick together because, you know, they're trying to separate us. They're trying to, you know, cause us to be at odds with each other and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. You know, people are in these positions, they crave power and they are in it for themselves. There's, you know, me, I'm doing my master's degree in organizational leadership, a new form of leadership that is coming out that is very prominent. It's called authentic leadership, because people are wanting more ethical leaders in office. Younger people are wanting more ethical leaders, more people that are being authentic and not this cookie cutter, play these games, put on like, you know, like put on, you know, makeup and like make, you know, try to make sure like you look good and like everything, but then people going and digging up your history, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, people want good people, ethical people in office. But unfortunately, those people don't last because you have all these political relationships, you have all these freaking back end favors and things like that, that ultimately, you know, ultimately like, you know, rule out the good people, you know. I mean, it's hard trying to live in you know, or trying to exist in that space. I'm sure, right? That's why many people don't want to become politicians, you know, and we continue to have the same cycle of or the same cycle of recycled same cycle of recycled politicians, right? You know, so but it's important that we stick together because when you look at the debt, the debt's growing, right? But when that bill comes due, who does that fall on? Does it fall on the taxpayers? Does it fall on whoever's in office? Does it fall on other politicians who have taken care of their needs and stacked their wealth? You know, we have to have a community of people, and that's why this channel exists, is so that we can build a community of people that can share knowledge, you know, share you know, wisdom and be able to connect. You know what I'm saying? Even if we don't agree on everything, we can agree on government spends too much money, right? Government spends too much money and they're broke. All right, so we're going to share this next screen. I'm sorry, you all, you know, I'm kind of fired up. I was just thinking about this after editing the Alistair McLeod interview. I was just thinking about government deficits. And so I wanted to share this information. So this is the next screen, right? This is from Zero Hedge. We're going to go over here. Boom. Zero Hedge. U.S. federal government fiscal watch. All right, so this is talking about the surplus versus the deficits here. And it talks about a continuous deficit, you know, worse than the 1.3 trillion that was recorded in fiscal 2022. So it's saying that our deficit is worse than what we just read, right? And there was another good chart down here. So this shows how many countries and people are buying government bonds, right? So I think I've explained this before, but I'm explaining it again. There's there's multiple different products that the government sells, and they sell debt. So they sell debt so that they can finance, you know, what they're spending, right? So a treasury bill I believe it's either 6 to 8 weeks to 52 weeks. So it's up to a year. That's a treasury bill. Then you have treasury notes. Notes are 2 years to 10 years. And then you have bonds, treasury bonds, which are 10 years to 30 years. Right. So this chart, what it's showing is, here 2024, like the treasury bills are up. Right. People aren't trying to loan the government long-term money for the long term. It's showing like, okay, in the trillions, people want bills. Same thing here. This is within 2 years. Then it just starts to dwindle down. Hardly anyone is buying these 30-year bonds where the government's going to pay them, 3-4% on, and likely inflation. I mean, we're in a commodities bull market. Inflation is going to run higher. Government is spending, is at a deficit. They're not even fixing the budget. Inflation is going to run higher. Right. So people aren't trying to buy 30-year instruments from the government. Right. So now let me ask you the question. Would you be willing to loan the government money? They pay you 3-4% interest on your money, and they pay you back in 30 years. Can I get some comments or something over here? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's willing to do that? I just want to know. I know I'm not, right? I know I'm not, so this is something that's a big issue. So no one wants to buy government debt, and let them pay them back in 30 years. Now, this was a popular trade. When you got back in, believe it was the 80s or whatnot, you could buy a government bond and they'll pay you back 16-17%. It was a bull market for bonds. So like, okay, yeah, I'll lock my money away for 30 years. If you're going to pay me 20% on it, that's good. That's a really good return. Right. But now nobody's wanting to loan the government money. So then, this is just, one of those things. So, yep. Ask Northwest Clips. Yep. Exactly. Nope. So recently we had a downturn in the markets. So, and that was because of a Fitch rating, which we're going to get to that. So it's a Fitch rating of the government, and they downgraded us from a AAA to a AAA. I don't know if it was AAA minus or something, to a AA plus. Now the markets just went down, right? So the credit rating agency said, hey, you all are either your deficits are out of control, and pretty much, you have no plan for getting it back under control. You want to spend more money. So that is what Fitch said. So we're going to actually go to Fitch's rating of the government and see what else they had to say, right? So let me pull that up. All right, here we go. Boom, boom. All right, FitchRatings.com. I'm just over here looking it up right now. Y'all, my bad. I should have looked this up before. So yeah, here we go. All right, so Fitch is a credit rating credit rating company. I believe they rated the governments or whatnot. So rating action commentary. Here we are. Fitch downgrades United States long-term ratings to AA plus from AAA. And so let's see what they got to say. Key rating drivers. Ratings downgrade. The rating downgrade of the United States reflects the expected fiscal deterioration over the next 3 years, a high and growing general government debt burden, right? We looked at the debt chart. We saw how high it was growing, and the erosion of governance relative to AA and AAA rated peers over the last 2 decades that has manifested in repeated debt limit standoffs and last minute resolutions. right? How many times have we gotten to this debt limit? The debt limit just continues to go up, right? There's no, what's the plan to rein in the spending? The cost of living is getting higher. Unfortunately, I think spending is going to go higher, and the cost of living is going higher. So they're going to want to, supplement, people's incomes. Erosion of governance. In Fitch's view, there has been a steady deterioration in standards of governance over the last 20 years, including on fiscal and debt matters, notwithstanding the June bipartisan agreement to suspend the debt limit until January 2025. So they suspended it indefinitely. You can raise, they can spend as much as they want until 2025. This is a year and a half, right? A year and a half of spending. We could be at 40 trillion by then, 45 trillion, who knows? The repeated debt limit, political standoffs, and last minute resolutions have eroded confidence in fiscal management. In addition, the government lacks a medium-term fiscal framework, unlike most peers, and has a complex budgeting process. These factors, along with several economic shocks as well as tax cuts and new spending initiatives, have contributed to successive debt increases over the last decade. Additionally, there has been only limited progress in tackling medium-term challenges related to rising Social Security and Medicare costs due to an aging population. So, and then this is what they expect right here. Rising government deficits. We expect general government deficit to rise 6.3% of GDP in 2023 from 3.7% in 2022. Excuse me. So they're saying the same thing that I just said. They're expecting government spending to rise. The cost of living, I mean, they just said it here. The cost of living is rising, due to Social Security, Medicare costs, right? So they're expecting the government deficits to continue to rise. And this is just the spending, the deficit spending. So they forecast a deficit of 6.6% of GDP in 2024. And then 6.9% in 2025. So you had people like Jamie Dimon from Chase and everything coming out saying like, oh, their rating doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. But they're saying some legit stuff, So then they expect general government debt to rise. Let's see, lower deficits and high nominal GDP growth reduced the debt to GDP ratio over the last 2 years from the pandemic high of 122.3% in 2020. However, at 112.9% this year is still well above the pre-pandemic 2019 level of 100.1%. And then they are projecting that the debt will rise to 118% of GDP by 2025. So the government's broke. The government's struggling to pay bills. Hey, my guy, JT, you joined the membership, man. Hey, I wish I had the sound. I need to add the sound effects in here. I'm gonna add the sound effects, man, and I'm gonna have to, shoot my guy a celebration, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. So Fitch downgraded us. And do y'all feel like Fitch's downgrade was warranted? Right? I think it was. I think it was. And so the government's broke. We keep spending money we don't have. And ultimately, this is going to weigh down on us. So it's important that we continue to, think, act, and prosper to get ourselves in financially ready. I always say this. Rick Rule said in one of his interviews, we need to get our financial house in order. Right? That means paying down debt. That means having some money outside of the system, real money, gold and silver. I do speculate a little bit with crypto, but that's just speculation. If crypto has a bull run and goes up a lot, I'm buying more gold. If it doesn't, then I'm cool with the losses. I'm not investing in anything that's life changing. That's not going to that would alter my lifestyle or anything. We need to obviously other things like have life insurance policies, and also train our kids. If you got kids, teach your kids how to manage wealth, how to manage money, because this is a generational thing. We're gonna have to, I don't know when this debt is gonna come due, when this debt bomb collapses or explodes or whatever. I don't know when that's gonna happen. It could be in my lifetime, it could be in my kids' lifetime, whatever, right? However, there's a good book, The Psychology of Staying Rich by Ted Oakley. It's only about 60 pages. I actually want to start a kind of like a book group at some point. I'm thinking about doing putting together a program. Let me know what y'all think about this idea. I'm thinking about putting together a program. It's called Operation Legacy Build. And pretty much what it's about is us being able to change the trajectory of our lifestyles and build a legacy. And so, breaking generational poverty, it's going to have many things such as, basic things such as budgeting to retirement, to looking at life insurance policies, to bringing on different people, different professionals that I interview and kind of having them there to either, have a talk with us and answer questions. I'm also thinking about, reading a couple of books, like short books as well. So The Psychology of Staying Rich is a good book. Ted Oakley talks about kids who have blown fortunes, their parents' fortunes. He's seen some of the biggest fortunes get blown. One particular family, I think the father passed away, and the kids went through 250 million, blew it. Right. So what's there for the next generations? So your kids, if you have kids, or if you're thinking about having kids or whatever, your kids have to know how to manage money, and that's part of building a legacy and protecting it, and so you have to think about a lot of different things, like which one of your kids is responsible, right? Yeah, who has the most, which one of my kids is going to be the most responsible right now. That's what I'm measuring. I'm like, okay, my daughter, she's she's about to be 1 year old, but I'm like, hey, she might be the most responsible one, because my son, who's 13, he want to go out and buy all this stuff, but he don't want to make the money, right? So you have to even think through that, right? So even there was I think Jackie Chan said he wasn't going to leave his son his I think 400 million net worth or whatever, something like that. But all right, y'all, hit the like button, subscribe, be sure to become a member. I appreciate you, JT, for becoming a member. I got an interview with Alasdair Macleod dropping tomorrow. The subscribers are growing, so I want to stay consistent with the content, and be sure to drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts, and y'all have a blessed night. Thank you for hearing me rant. I hope that it was valid. Thank you, Aceto. I hope I said that right. I butcher names. Sometimes I'll Google a name and then hear how Google pronounces it, and so that's sometimes I'll do it like that. But I appreciate you for commenting or whatnot. Be sure to hit the membership tab. Hit the link in the description as well if you're interested in coming to the New Orleans Investment Conference. Build relationships with people that are like-minded. There's not a lot of people that me personally, I can have these discussions with, right? Right. There's some people obviously through online or me going through the conferences and stuff, but yeah, like this, you have to be, kind of geared a certain way or have your eyes open. Appreciate you, Michael. Thank you for being interested in what I have to say. Yeah, I'm always, I'm pretty, thank you. Appreciate your support for sure. Yeah, I'm pretty quiet. I'm really introverted, y'all. Y'all don't know that I'm an introvert. I'm an introvert, but I was forced to be an extrovert because I'm a hip hop artist too. So I'm actually going to be blending some hip hop stuff with the Money Level show. I'll have like a whole persona I'm about to do and rap about finance and stuff. I just want to figure out how I can reach the youth, and reach anybody, just through the arts and stuff, and blend in my talents. So I want to put some mature, grown man, wise music together. So all right, y'all have a blessed night. I'm gonna go hang out with the fam. Be sure to love on y'all kids and y'all family. Life is short. I've had 2 people pass away in my life recently. A friend of mine, drug overdose, and then another friend of mine who committed suicide, left his wife and 4 kids. So sorry to be the downer on that, but I just want to share that with you all. Be sure to go love on your family, and try to live in peace with one another, and everything. So life is short. All right, y'all have a blessed day. Appreciate you, Mike. Y'all take care. See y'all soon. All right, peace.